Heyo, and what is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. It's the Raw after WrestleMania, and longtime wrestling fans know that the Raw after WrestleMania traditionally, historically, is usually the biggest show of the year. It's one of the best Monday Night Raws of the year. It features surprising twists and turns, like new debuting superstars, returning superstars that you might not have been aware were gone for a while even. We see new storylines to begin. We see so many great things. Sometimes legends come back and have fun, and the crowd injects a life into this show, and all of these things were not really there this time around. Sure, they brought a couple of new people back, but that's only the beginning of the mistakes that went on in this episode of Monday Night Raw, one of the worst Raw after Manias ever, and we are going to talk about all of it and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Raw after WrestleMania review and reaction show. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Now, I know that there's only so much they can do. They are not allowed to do what they normally do. They can't even have fans. So how is a Raw after WrestleMania even going to feel like a Raw after WrestleMania without fans? Even more so than a WrestleMania or a pay-per-view or any other show in the year. To have this particular Monday Night Raw not have any fans in attendance is just like the worst thing in the world when you're sitting there watching at home, because it already doesn't feel like the Raw after WrestleMania when you take out the biggest ingredient of that show, the biggest character, the biggest star of the Raw after WrestleMania is usually the fans and the interactions and whatever it is that gets going on to start off the new wrestling year. That was clearly not going to be the case, and I want to, as always, give them the benefit of the doubt because they don't have their full staff, they don't have all the wrestlers at their disposal. But what we got tonight was pretty much Jobber Mania. We had a whole bunch of jobber-like squash matches on this evening for a bunch of people that nobody really needs to be having these matches for. But even more importantly, the main event of the Raw after WrestleMania was actually a secret match from WrestleMania. And I don't understand why any of this happened, because when you think about it logically, it truly doesn't make sense. Like, they've had things not make sense before, but when you factor in everything that leads to Drew McIntyre facing the Big Show at WrestleMania, I'm just sitting on my couch and I'm just like, what? What? I don't understand. This happened at WrestleMania last night after WrestleMania was over. So WrestleMania was over, right? And then Drew McIntyre went to the back. He didn't towel off all of his sweat and all of his shit that he had all over his body when he was dealing with Brock Lesnar. He didn't even change out of his little skivvies. He didn't get dressed in this 20 minutes. They said this happened about 20 minutes after WrestleMania was over. And then he goes back out to the ring. He gets his little side plates put into the WWE Championship, so Brock's little logo's not on there and his is on there, and he goes out to the arena to have an interview segment in front of nobody in the middle of the ring. And he gets confronted by the Big Show, and the Big Show's like, yeah, well, hey, listen, I want a match. You don't even have to be for the title, but I want a match. And Drew McIntyre's like, I'm not going to have a match with you right now, because Drew McIntyre knows what he's talking about. What the hell does the Big Show? What has he done? Where has he been? Who does he think he is walking out of here? WrestleMania is over. WrestleMania's been over for 20 minutes. You want to come out here and have a match. There's nothing you could say to make me want to have this match. Then the Big Show slaps Drew McIntyre in the face, and we're having this match. And the whole while, I'm like, my brain is frying, and I'm sitting there, and I'm pissed off because what I'm watching really is the main event of WrestleMania. the secret main event of WrestleMania, which has The Big Show in it. And The Big Show in the main event of WrestleMania in 2020 is definitely something that is wrong. And you can't tell me that there was anything right about that. And in fact, it is the first of many poop hammers. It may be the biggest poop hammer we're doling out. It's WrestleMania. Can somebody please explain the frame of mind here? What does Drew McIntyre have to prove after just beating Brock Lesnar in under 5 minutes? Is the Big Show scarier than Brock Lesnar? Is he more dominant than Brock Lesnar? The Big Show's looking up at the lights more often than not, but he came back to WrestleMania to make another turn. Last time we saw the Big Show, he was happy-go-lucky show, and now he's out here being all pissed off and he wants to wrestle Drew Mac. And I don't understand why. Why? Was this an alternate ending to WrestleMania in case Brock Lesnar decided not to show up and then they just went ahead and showed it on Monday Night Raw because, hey, we need content. We created content. We need time to we got time to kill in a 3-hour show. Let's just show this like a bonus feature, like an extra added thing on the DVD that you would buy or the Blu-ray at this point. I don't understand it. It makes absolutely no sense, and I definitely didn't need to see it tonight on Monday Night Raw. It happened after WrestleMania, and they're hyping it up all night long like some big incident happened, right? So you're expecting maybe somebody jumped the champ after the show, which would set up his program going forward. There were rumors that it might be Tyson Fury challenging Drew McIntyre in the near future, so some people expected it to be Tyson Fury getting involved with Drew McIntyre in the back somehow. But instead, they deliver a full match. A full 6-7 minute match. Alternate WrestleMania main event. Drew McIntyre versus The Big Show. Like, it's as if when Drew McIntyre beat Brock Lesnar, he leveled up and unlocked the secret boss. This is WrestleMania 36's secret boss level. The Big Show. What? And then they even made it look like the Big Show was almost going to win the championship. He hit Drew McIntyre with the chokeslam and got a really close near fall, and I almost jumped right out of my skin. My skin almost crawled. And I'm sitting there in my mind, I'm going, there's no way. There's no way they're going to give it to the Big Show. Why does this even exist? And then in that one moment, I was just like, oh my God. I was in fear. I was terrified that I was going to have to sit here on this review and tell you guys that the Big Show was the new champion. And I wouldn't have known how to explain that to you because I didn't even think the Big Show was around for WrestleMania. And it just didn't make any sense. And it's not like it was this great 5-star classic between two big men that we needed to see that it had to be put onto the main event of the Raw after WrestleMania. After hyping it to be some tremendous incident. Oh, after WrestleMania. Oh, look at what happened after WrestleMania. A full match just happened after WrestleMania, and then they were, oh, it's breaking news. By the way, they don't even know what that phrase means. Breaking news means it's happening right now. You can't come in with breaking news on something that happened 24 hours ago. You call it breaking news if you wanted to report about it then. Now, it's just something that happened, so it's just news. In the news, this happened at WrestleMania. Oh my God. And then let's talk about the surprise returns. The big old surprise returns. The first surprise of the night, Apollo Crews. Apollo Crews, the very same Apollo Crews that was on SmackDown getting beaten by Sheamus with one bro kick in, 2 minutes, is showing up tonight on Monday Night Raw, and they're acting like he's something new. They're acting like he's something special. And while I've always been very high on Apollo Crews, and I've always maintained that if they give this guy the right gimmick and get him to stop smiling, he could really be a major force, and he could really be something good on the WWE roster. But this guy's, who's been on the jobber train for so long, just sitting out there getting beat over and over, shows up and he's getting 30 minutes with Aleister Black. 30 minutes with Aleister Black, and there's so many things wrong with that. We all know that I don't give two shits about the human milk dud Bobby Lashley, but are you telling me that Apollo Crews is that much better than Bobby Lashley? A former MMA competitor, like all of the accolades Bobby Lashley has? Are you telling me that Apollo Crews is that much better? Aleister Black beat Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania Sunday in like 7 minutes. He couldn't tie up Apollo Crews. They had 3 commercial breaks in this match. This match went over 30 minutes. It's like they were purposely trying to outdo Reg and Andy... Reg. Not Reg. His name's not Reggie. Edge and Randy Orton from last night in the Last Man Standing match. What are these guys trying to kill each other over? I don't know. They were just probably trying to give it that Raw after WrestleMania feel. Look at this epic match. 30 minutes between these 2 colossal warriors. And Apollo Crews looked great. Aleister Black looked great. But over 30 minutes? For this? And then you want to give a tag team matchup later on that could have been match of the night. Anywhere else in the world, you want to give that, like 3 or 4 minutes? We'll talk about that in a second. Holy shit, man. Apollo Crews. And then the explanation of Apollo Crews coming over was the best. Tom Phillips is like, oh, well, Raw picked up Tom Phillips with some draft picks because they were about to expire. What? What kind of lame-ass excuse is that? I was unaware that there were even draft picks left from almost a year ago. And now we're bringing up draft picks to explain why Apollo Crews is over here. What? An expiring draft pick? Who made this pick? Who knows about these things in the back? There's no general manager or anything on Raw, so who is making all these decisions? Who signed him? What is going on? What a bullshit excuse that was. Moving on from Apollo Crews, what else surprised us on this night? Nia Jax. Oh my God. As if the women's division needed another reason for me to turn away from it. Here comes Nia Jax, and they hype it up. Oh, Nia Jax returns next. And then she comes out. And I feel like I'm stuck in a time loop from when she left. There's absolutely nothing to distinguish her from being new or different from what she was. There's no change in her apparel. There's no change in her look. No real change in her moveset, with the one slight addition, which was her new finishing move, being the Rampage, which she was given by Paige. So the only thing you added was somebody else's finishing move. And I want to commend Nia Jax from all the hard work that it definitely took for her to get back in ring shape, coming from double knee surgery. That cannot be easy, and you got to respect her just out of that. But man, I have absolutely zero faith that the WWE is going to do right by Nia Jax. They killed this character as it was, and now they're not doing anything to differentiate it from what it was to something new and fresh that could be molded and made different and made into something awesome. I mean, it's so easy. Having a wrestler like Nia Jax, she's so easy to book. So easy. But they made her look like a clown. And then everybody got on her case when she broke Becky's face. And now she's coming back, and so what? So what? That's your big Raw after WrestleMania return? I didn't care. I didn't care about that at all. And then Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair makes her Raw debut. She wants to come out there. She wants to tell everybody, oh, she goes here now. Now I go here to Monday Night Raw. I'm happy about this. I love that Bianca Belair is on Monday Night Raw because we need women that can wrestle on Monday Night Raw. Becky Lynch effectively has nobody to wrestle, so now we have Nia Jax and Bianca Belair to go forward with Becky Lynch. Fine. Bianca Belair is the greater of those two by far. But my real problem with this is the WWE did the exact same segment that they did at WrestleMania. And again, it's so easy to do this. If your intention is to bring Bianca Belair to Monday Night Raw, then what you do is you have the match at WrestleMania go down without Bianca coming out and saving her husband's ass. You make that happen without that spot. You have the Street Profits winning by disqualification thanks to the involvement of Zelina Vega. So now that gives you a reason to have the rematch on Monday Night Raw. Even though we've seen them wrestle twice already in the last 7 days, fine, let's do it again for a third time, because at least this time you're going to have the debut of Bianca Belair. And then you don't do some stupid shit like turn the matchup into Bianca Belair's first singles match, which then kind of ends with no finish and another disqualification, and only to turn it into a 6-person tag team matchup and do this all in the span of about 20 minutes. You did 3 weeks worth of television in 20 minutes. Last night you should have held back on Bianca Belair. You deliver that blow tonight. Bang. So now that happens, Bianca Belair comes out, she saves her husband, she saves the team of the Street Profits, and they retain their championships once again. You move on down the line. Next week on Monday Night Raw, Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega, who was fantastic tonight on her own, by the way. Zelina Vega, when you see what she could do in the ring, like you wonder why the hell they haven't been using her in ring capacity over those last couple of years that she's been under contract. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. So you have Bianca Belair and Zelina Vega next week. And then you follow that up the week after with a 6-man between the two. And then you continue it on in multiple different ways. Multiple different ways you can go down. Many different roads you can go down. We don't even know the future of professional wrestling right now. Is there really going to be a Money in the Bank pay-per-view? Who knows? But that would be your target. That would be where you want to get the road down to, where you can have finally Bianca versus Zelina 1-on-1, and the Street Profits versus Garza and what's his name, Austin Theory, and you blow it off at the pay-per-view. That's how you do it. You don't do everything all in one night. And not even during the course of a night. They did it in 20 minutes. You put all of this in 20 minutes. Absolutely ridiculous. Simply ridiculous. There was so much bad about this show, and I knew we were in for it when the show wanted to kick off with the first match being Asuka versus Liv Morgan. And I will go on record as saying this was probably the best I've ever seen Liv Morgan look in the ring. That might be attributed to Asuka being in there, giving her a pretty good match. Having a decent partner to dance with in the ring is always key to delivering. And there were no real major botches that stuck out to me. Maybe I dozed off in between. I don't think I did, but it is quite possible. From my vantage point, I didn't see anything that bad. But I don't understand WWE's logic here once again. If you just went through this whole repackaging with Liv Morgan, and yeah, I know it kind of hit the skids and it didn't go the way it was supposed to, but to have her on the Raw after WrestleMania show up and wrestle Asuka in a singles capacity and lose, I don't give a shit that it was a 10-minute matchup. What's the point? What's the point? I don't mind Asuka getting a win here, but over Liv Morgan doesn't really mean anything. We haven't been seeing this type of wrestling from Liv Morgan for a long amount of time, so seeing it here tonight was a little bit refreshing, and maybe this girl could be something as the year goes on, once things gets back to normal. But you shouldn't be having people that you have high hopes for constantly losing. Oh, well, she beat Natalya on the pre-show at WrestleMania. That don't count. I don't care. I don't care. You follow up a win with a loss, then you still have no momentum. Asuka defeats Liv Morgan in standard Asuka fashion, but Liv Morgan did give her a little bit of a fight. Then they wanted to talk about the man, Becky Lynch. She wanted to cut a promo on Shayna Baszler, and I'm still just bewildered over the fact that they made this decision and killed everything about Shayna Baszler. It doesn't matter where you go with this from this point on. I don't care. My investment is gone. This is a girl that came in like a vampire, chomping on necks, and then she went into the Elimination Chamber and single-handedly took out the entire women's division, and then was fed to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, who has already been champion for over a year, who has become stale and boring, and who needed a challenger to come up and mush her in the mouth and have her be humbled. But that's not what they did. If they would have done that, then people would be able to latch back onto Becky. Oh my God, Becky's down, and now she's got to scratch back up to get her titles back from this monstrous Shayna Baszler, and then you could enter Ronda Rousey in at some point, and it becomes really, really meaningful. But now, all the luster, all the mystique of Shayna Baszler, it's dead. And I feel like Vince did that on purpose because his main focus is going to be on Ronda. He doesn't want some Ronda-like person, somebody who actually is doing better in the ring than Ronda Rousey has. That's the only thing I could see. It's killed for me. It doesn't matter. Anything Becky Lynch says at this point doesn't matter. Oh, well, she underestimated me. What? This woman is a killer. She should have ripped your arms off and beat you to death with them. That's what Shayna Baszler, that's the vibe you get from her. But no, she gets pinned with a simple roll-up at WrestleMania. And then all she has to say as a comeback is, "The thrill of victory and the agony of defeat," says Baszler. Then she goes on, looks into the camera, all zombie looking. She looked like she hadn't slept all night. She just looked destroyed. And she goes, "The thrill of victory Becky Lynch will suffer the agony of my defeat." Okay, great. Great. Let's see what happens. Even if Baszler goes on to win the belts from Becky at this point, do you care? Do you care? No. They didn't give Baszler the Royal Rumble so that they can give it to Charlotte so that she could shit all over NXT. And then they didn't give Baszler the championship at WrestleMania because, I don't know, reasons. Because they love Becky more. I don't know. If you figure it out, you let me know. After this, we had the tag team situation. The Street Profits defeated Austin Theory and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega via disqualification in 10 minutes. This was followed up by Bianca Belair, saving her man once again in a repeat performance from last night's WrestleMania, only to have that turned into Bianca Belair versus Zelina Vega, which went about 5 minutes until that ended the exact same way, via disqualification. And then Montez Ford channels his inner Teddy Long and decides, hey, listen, let's have a 6-person tag team match and let's do it tonight, family style. Fantastic. Street Profits and Bianca Belair defeat Zelina Vega, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory in only an additional 5 minutes. 20 minutes, 3 weeks worth of television. Absolutely ass-backwards bullshit. Aleister Black, as we talked about, defeated Apollo Crews in a 30-minute matchup that was actually a very good showing for Apollo Crews. I don't mind. This was a good story being told. Aleister Black just couldn't hit the Black Mass until he did, which was 30 minutes in. He beat Apollo Crews with the Black Mass. Good showing for Apollo, but really, we already talked about the main things wrong with that. Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. This was the tag team match I referenced earlier. Ricochet and Cedric being transitioned into the tag team division is fantastic. When they first did it, and we seen them on Raw a couple of weeks ago as a tag team, I said I hoped that this would continue. That's a great place for them to be, and maybe they'll actually get pushed. The problem with this matchup is that they were put in the ring with Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, which is a fantastic tag team from NXT. We had a lot of talent from NXT brought up to the show tonight only to be served up and beaten down for some reason. I don't know what that's about. Are Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan part of this, weird, draft pick expiring thing? I don't know. They didn't go any deeper into that. And I don't think that is the case. But Ricochet and Cedric defeat Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan in under 4 minutes. And I'm saying right here, you didn't need 30 minutes for Apollo Crews and Aleister Black. You didn't need 3 segments for the tag team championships in one night. You needed to give this match at least 10 minutes. If you're going to have Cedric and Ricochet in the tag team division more permanently, then this is your time to show the world what they can do. We don't need 3-minute matches. We need to see some good tag team wrestling. And they were in there with 2 guys that could really deliver. And on the reverse side, seeing a team from NXT that is so awesome losing to a team that has just pretty much been thrown together on Monday Night Raw just feels kind of wrong. So it's another thing you can add to the wrong list. While it's not wrong enough to give anybody the poop hammer in this scenario, because I like the direction in which I see it going, it still just is not 100% right. It's just not. I don't understand some of the things that they do most of the time. This match was way too short. They did a recap of Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins from WrestleMania, which was one of the better matches from WrestleMania Night 1. We've seen Kevin Owens flying from the top of the WrestleMania sign, crashing through Seth Rollins down below through the announce table. It was a fantastic spot. Definitely earned his WrestleMania moment that night, even without a fan in attendance. Owens and Rollins pretty much stole the show Night 1 as far as singles matches are concerned that happened in the ring, if you ask me. Kevin Owens was cutting a promo from earlier today that was filmed. Owens has wanted to get his hands on Rollins ever since everything started back in November, but he kept getting attacked and beaten down by the authors of Piss and the Buddy Murphy disciple. And he was starting to wonder if all of this would even be worth it in the end. Putting Rollins through the table, hitting the stunner, and hearing the 3 count at WrestleMania, he says made it all worthwhile. KO Mania running wild at WrestleMania this year. Owens finally got his WrestleMania moment and now can move on to bigger and better things. Kevin Owens went on to say that he used to call himself a prize fighter and maybe he should go back to that. Or maybe he should find more guys like Seth Rollins who he should go after. Either way, he's going to always keep fighting because this will always be the Kevin Owens show. Solid promo, as always, from Kevin Owens, following up a big victory at WrestleMania where he shut down the Monday Night Man Bun. And I liked it. I thought it was great. What wasn't great was what they followed this with. Seth Rollins comes out there and beats this poor chump kid, Denzel Desjournay, in under 2 minutes. Seth Rollins didn't crack a smile. He didn't even barely change his face. He had a very stoic, very just no emotion on his face. You could say maybe it was anger, but I think he was going for just emotionless and dead inside. And he came out walking real slow. It took him almost as long as it would take The Undertaker to get down the ramp. He was mopey, and he just came down with his little man bun and his little fur collar, and he got into the ring, and then he beat the snot out of this guy, and then he left. He didn't say a word, which is great. I'm not complaining that he didn't say anything, because nobody wants to hear him whining and crying, Seth Rollins. But that was it. I don't know why this was necessary. This is 2 minutes that they could have added to that tag match. Did we really need to see the man bun tonight? No, we did not. Nia Jax. Nia Jax comes out next. Oh, joy. Oh, joy. Nia Jax beats Deonna Purrazzo in the same amount of time it took Seth Rollins to beat little Denzel. We already talked about Nia Jax. Who cares? She's using the Rampage now. Great. Paige gave her permission to use it. Great. I certainly didn't care. The final match. The final match of Raw went to Humberto Carrillo fighting Brendan Vink. Now, the only thing I'm coming away from this match with is that this is the second time we've seen this Brendan Vink. And in this second showing, he kind of reminds me of Iron Mike Sharp. Some of you old heads like me, you'll know who I'm talking about. He's got a very Iron Mike Sharp vibe to him. That doesn't mean I need to see him multiple times on TV. Once again, advertised as somebody from NXT, just like they did Deonna Purrazzo. Oh, from NXT, Deonna Purrazzo, here to be squashed in a minute by Nia Jax. Oh, here's Brendan Vink from NXT, here to fight Dr. Dimples, Humberto Carrillo. This match lasted 3 minutes. Humberto Carrillo wins with a moonsault. Who cares? After this, we had a recap of Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley from last night's WrestleMania. They then went into a promo with Charlotte, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I fell asleep. I dozed off. I legit fell asleep. And I woke up when it was over and saw the recap of McIntyre and Lesnar. So we are going to find out together as I read this right now what she actually said, because I didn't even hear this. So let's see what the queen of NXT now, give me a break, is going to see in this interview. Charlotte didn't want Charlie Caruso's congratulations. I think that's the last thing I remember. I remember her congratulating her and Charlotte being like, I don't want your congratulations. And she went on to say that she learned from her father, Ric Flair, of course, got to get that name drop in, that the suit doesn't make the man makes the suit. And the championship doesn't make the man or woman, the person makes the championship. Charlotte won the Raw title, the SmackDown title, and the NXT title, and even retired the Divas title. Charlotte said Ripley was alright, but she bows down to the Queen like everybody else. And it was one of the worst decisions they made throughout the weekend. If they seriously think that giving that belt to Charlotte Flair is going to get more people interested in NXT, they're wrong. It's going to get the fan base that's already in NXT to turn against them as Charlotte Flair starts one by one picking off all of the up-and-coming young talent in NXT and not putting anybody over. That's what I see happening. Then we had the main event segment. They aired the footage from after last night's show, approximately 20 minutes after Raw went off the air. McIntyre re-entered the arena. His music played. He had the belt on. He was all full of sweat and shit still from the match because he didn't even have time to wipe himself down in this very long 20-minute break. He went into the ring with Sarah Schreiber. McIntyre said it hasn't even really sunk in yet. Of course it hasn't, because it was only 20 minutes. He hasn't talked to any friends or family. Of course not, because it's barely any time has passed. Guy didn't even change. Didn't even dry off. 20 minutes later. He did take the time to get the logo plates changed on the belt to make it feel real. So that's what he decided to do. He said, I won this title. I'm going to go get my plates changed, and I'm going to go back out for this interview. Great. McIntyre thanked Paul Heyman. McIntyre said he was physically ready, he was mentally ready, and knew Brock Lesnar was ready to go to war as well. He heard Heyman yelling and telling Lesnar to keep giving him the F5 because he wouldn't be able to get back up. McIntyre then said Paul Heyman obviously doesn't know him very well. His life flashed before his eyes, and he had to fight in his professional and personal life for years, and this time he was going to continue to reach deep down and get that fight out once again. After each F5, McIntyre got more and more pissed. He Claymore kicked Lesnar as many times as he could and was now the new champion. All of a sudden, everything goes tremendously downhill. I would have been fine if that was it. Oh, after WrestleMania, we have footage of the shocking promo by Drew McIntyre. You know what was so shocking? He said thank you to Paul Heyman. Oh my God, that was Raw after WrestleMania. Oh my God. And then that would have been it. Cut the black and been over. But no, we had to get the bonus match. Big Show's music hits, and he enters with a referee. As soon as you seen the referee until you knew you were in for some bullshit, right? So, Show put over Drew McIntyre in his win. He said that he was a big man, of course, but he was no giant. Oh, using that WCW word, the giant. Bleh. McIntyre knew where this was going. Show said he didn't know where this was going. He said he wasn't going to challenge him for the belt right now or at Money in the Bank, but he did note that they were both in their gear. They both had a referee right now in the ring, so let's go on and do this. McIntyre said he was in his gear because he just beat Lesnar but wasn't interested in fighting right now. Show accused him of being afraid. McIntyre wasn't afraid of him or anybody else, but wasn't going to get talked into this no matter what he said. That's when the Big Show slapped him, and this match would begin. The referee called for the bell and started this match, and the title was on the line, even though both men before this match said that it's not for the championship. So, I don't know. Anyway, Drew McIntyre defeats the Big Show to retain the WWE Championship. Thank God. Thank God at least that was the way it ended. But I don't understand what the point of any of it was. That was not anything special. And why does Drew McIntyre have to prove anything more after beating Brock Lesnar? And then you have Tom Phillips saying stupid shit like, oh, this is the first time we've seen the title defended twice in a half an hour's time during a WrestleMania in its history, and that's wrong. That's wrong. Were you not aware of WrestleMania 9, where the championship matchup concluded, only to minutes later be followed up by a secondary championship matchup. It's controversial. It's another championship for Hulk Hogan. It's the first time they screwed over Bret the Hitman Hart, but it happened. And it happened at WrestleMania. So take your hyperbole and stick it up your ass. Ridiculous. Oh, now Drew McIntyre shows the world he deserves to be champion. Because beating Brock Lesnar doesn't make you deserving? Why, because too many people have done it now, maybe? I don't know. So he had to beat Brock and Big Show in the same night? And does it even count? Because if it does count, then Big Show versus Drew McIntyre was the real main event of WrestleMania, even going over Drew McIntyre and Brock Lesnar. And that's just, like, sacrilegious, almost. It's that wrong that it feels sacrilegious. Holy shit, did I hate this show. This show was terrible. It did feature some good in-ring action, but when the stories are all over the place and nothing makes sense, and you have to end with the Big Show, and your big surprises are Nia Jax and Apollo Cruz. Didn't feel like the Raw after WrestleMania to me. Just like WrestleMania didn't feel like WrestleMania. And that's all we got. I am actually so sick and tired of talking about WrestleMania, yet we still have one more show this week with the follow-up show to SmackDown coming to us Friday night. And I hope you guys are here with me as we bring the hammer down on what is sure to be a huge pile of trash from the Blue brand. And God knows what is in store for us as everything in the world is still slowly locking down. Things are happening, things are not happening from one day to the next. We don't know what is going on with pro wrestling. Apparently, they are not in a position to do tapings anymore, and we don't know how we are going to get from show to show at this point, but it'll be an interesting ride. And I want to thank you guys all for being here with me through WrestleMania season. If you just joined us this weekend and you're a new sub and a new member of the Sledgehead Army, I want to thank you so much for doing so. And if you're not already a member, now would be the clear, concise time to hit that subscribe button right now and join the almost 2.5K, I almost said that wrong, the 2.5K, that this is the number one most fun wrestling show to be listening to following anything, especially anything that WWE puts out. Nobody does it in the manner that we do it. We bring a lot of fun, we bring a lot of laughs, we bring a lot of humor, although there was not much to laugh about tonight because it was absolutely dreadful. But if you enjoyed the show, if it made you laugh, if I made you cry, if it made you understand why tonight's Raw after WrestleMania may be one of the worst in its history, hit that subscribe button and smash that like button. Let me know you enjoyed today's show. Leave me your comments on what you guys think was wrong with tonight's episode of Raw after WrestleMania. I'm always looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say, and you guys have heard everything I've had to say, and if you missed anything I had to say about WrestleMania and you want to know a little bit more in depth about what I thought about the most unique show of the year, if you missed the WrestleMania reviews, they will both, part 1 and 2, be linked in the annotations up above, as well as the go-home shows and AEW and everything else that deserves to be bashed with this hammer. So don't forget to like those videos as well and share them everywhere you know to share stuff with your wrestling buddies all over the wrestling world, because we need to grow and I depend on you guys to help me do so. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team. Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, his tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion for all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue the Snowball, the most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you. That is going to do it. We are out of here, and we will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com.